Hi everyone, it's Shamila Ramjawan coming to you from the Red Corner Show in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's Women's Month in South Africa, and I am showcasing 31 inspirational women from across the globe this August. And today on the show, I have Anna Gabriela Flores, who's in San Antonio, Texas, USA. Anna is a wife, energy reader, international motivational speaker, podcaster, and daughter of immigrants. And she's got such an amazing bio. We get to talk to Anna. Hi, Anna, how are you?
I'm doing great, Shamila, and yourself?
Very well, thank you. This chat is so long
Thank
overdue, I must add.
Absolutely, it is. I'm so excited to meet you.
Yes, same here. So please tell us a little bit about Anna, just your background. You have quite an interesting background. I want to hear all about that. Yes,
Great,
and
thank you.
heritage. And yes, whatever you want to add, go for it.
Yes, thank you. Again, I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of what you do. Immediately when we connected, I've been following you for a few months now on social media. And like I told you offline, I don't even know where to begin to congratulate you on all of your accomplishments and everything that you do. But again, it's just an honor to get to connect with you and connect with people from, across the globe. It's absolutely amazing. Like you mentioned, I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, which is a border town, in the south border of the United States and Mexico. My family is from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, which you would call first generation, right? Even though I don't like to recognize man-made borders, just to put places on the map. Yes, I am from a border town, which growing up, right, in the 90s, in a border town, it was a very, unique experience. It was at the time where there was a lot of violence. I mean, there's still a lot of violence going down in the border in Mexico, northern Mexico. And so it was in the 1998 when my parents decided to make the move to the United States and move our family to El Paso, which just seemed like a safer option for them. And my mom always had, this dream of us being in the United States, speaking English. I'm a Spanish native speaker. Spanish is my first language. But to her, her dream for us was to go to college, get an education. She always felt that herself, right, as someone who stopped going to school in middle school, to her, it was the most important thing for us to get an education, go to college. And for her, since she was married and she had been raised as you are as a woman, you were raised to be a housewife, and I know there's nothing wrong with being a housewife, and I'm proud one too, but I know in her time the limitations, right, to go to school for women were
Mhm.
very real, and she was very discouraged to go from school. So for her, that was our dream. For her, it was a no-brainer to bring us to the United States, for us to have the opportunity, right, to go to school, get a college degree. And like she told me, never depend on the man. It was kind of her thing. She always told me, I never want you to have to depend on anybody else, to take care of yourself. And so
That's the best
came to the
advice.
United States. Absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. I'm so grateful to the sacrifices that both my parents have made, because I can't even imagine, right? It must have been very difficult, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, and just literally throwing themselves right into the sacrifice for their three children. And so I'm the youngest. I am now married. I'm about to be 31, and my husband told me I think my birthday's next week. It's been
Did
such
he
a busy year.
remind you?
Yes.
No.
Yes. I was like, is my birthday next week? He's like, it is. I
No,
was
you
like,
can't
okay.
be serious, Anna,
It's
because
like,
my birthdays, I actually remind myself and remind everyone around me from about 6 months
yeah.
before my birthday.
Yes, and I'm a Leo, right? So if you follow the zodiac sign, I'm a Leo. We love to talk about our birthdays. We love our birthday
Yes.
celebrations. And I complete. It's been so busy. I'm currently 5 months pregnant. You can't really see it right now, but I'm
Oh,
currently 5 months
congratulations.
pregnant. Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
And so I haven't had time to think about it. And I think that's what happened. But I'm about to 31. Like you said, I'm married. I'm a wife. And for work, I worked 10 years in higher education. I worked in different universities here in San Antonio, Texas, organizing first year programs for first year college students and organizing orientation. So, kind of the program that welcomes them into the institution, tells them what to expect, right? Tells them about their classes, their professor, and kind of gets them acquainted to the university. And it was a work that I was extremely passionate about, as someone who is first generation myself. I'm the first one to go to college in my family. And when you're a student, right, of color, when, some of the jargon that we use in the United States, right? When you're a student of color, when you're a student who comes from a Mexican family, who comes from other languages, right, from another culture, going to college in the United States can be kind of a culture shock. It'll be quite of an experience. There's a lot of things that if you don't have the proper guidance, right, can get lost. And so for me, I just absolutely loved being that person, that students that look like me, students that, that their parents also didn't go to college and couldn't support them. I was the one that would hold that space for them. And I did that for 10 years, up until the pandemic. The pandemic is a very interesting time, I think, for everyone in education, right? And seeing leadership have to make decisions, right, based off business and money, or based off the health and the wellness of the student population, of their staff. And there was just a lot of things that, working as a woman of color in higher ed, in, institutions here in the United States, you experience a lot of racism, you experience a lot of sexism, right? You experience a lot of what we call the imposter syndrome, right? Feeling like you don't fit in because you're just different. There's not a lot of professionals who would look like me or sound like me. I would relate more to my students, the students that I was working with, than my colleagues at times. And so the pandemic kind of gave me this opportunity. I now see it kind of as a free card to kind of, just say, I'm letting go of this, career that I've been working on, that I'm so passionate about. Because it was, I think, at that time where I experienced what I would call a spiritual awakening, where my spirit told me, this is not the space for you, and you need to take your gifts, somewhere else. And that's where my energy work came. I began studying, connecting with the spiritual community, virtually, right? We were all at home connecting virtually, finding ways to connect on Instagram. And I started learning how to read tarot, and learning about meditation, and learning about sound healing. And I just absolutely fell in love with the work to be able to hold space for people, and, do tarot readings, and guide people, and connect them with their spirit guides, and connect them with the, spiritual self. I think that was what was missing for me in my career in higher ed. It was the holistic view and consideration of someone as a spiritual being, right? Not just an individual. And so absolutely now the work that I do just fills, my spiritual cup, and my ability to connect with people in such a deeper way. And that's kind of what I do now. That's in a short bit, kind of who I am and how I got here to how you and I met, which was through a presentation where I spoke about 3 of the ways to cultivate and maintain inner peace. Because it was such a wild year for me. I needed to be able to put everything that I learned in a way that I could, help people and give some support and some advice of things that I did for myself. To kind of find some inner peace in between all the chaos of the global pandemic.
I loved your presentation, and
thank you.
It was just so interesting, and it was mind-blowing actually. And I just thought, no, I have to connect with her, and that's where I connected with you on Instagram, I think it was.
Yes, thank you. I'm so honored. Yes, immediately when you told me, I told you during that time, I had multiple people from South Africa reaching out to me. And it's such a crazy thing to think, right? I'm in San Antonio, Texas, you're in South Africa, and I've just been connecting with people from this area. And so I feel really called to the culture, to what you guys are doing. I think we can relate. Everybody that I've talked to can relate, in terms of the struggle of maybe having limited resources and just truly making magic, right, out of sometimes what others see as limitations. And so I have really, really been, just amazed by all the people I've met, from South Africa and Johannesburg too. So
wonderful. And, I just think it's so important to give someone a compliment. If you find them to be interesting, or you find them to be adding value to your life, why not just
Absolutely.
find them and give them that compliment? It doesn't take away anything from you.
No. Doesn't it add to your life? I feel like it has to add to your life. I absolutely believe in the law,
gratitude,
right?
yes.
Of attraction. I believe in what you put out there, you get back, 10 times. And so I absolutely believe in our, our innate being of being energy. And so the energy that we put out, I absolutely believe we get. So yeah, I agree with you.
I so believe that. And just on your show, you also involved as a co-host on a podcast.
Yes.
What does that involve? And what's it all
co-host.
about? It's all about love. So tell everybody about it.
It is. Yes, this was another project, right? That came actually from one of dear friends who's also a speaker. He is a motivational speaker who, had this experience where he, felt that when he was out with some friends, the moment that couples started talking about the way that they had met, right? That the way that they had fallen in love, when that question came up, like, how did you guys meet? It just developed such a beautiful conversation and connection between his friends that he just had this idea, in his mind and in his heart that, whenever he could, he would create a podcast called How'd You Meet? And, he would interview people about how they met and how their love story started. And so he brought this idea to me. He's like, I think you'd be the perfect co-host for this podcast. I think you're a hopeless romantic like myself. He's like, and I think you love connecting with people as much as I do. And so when he brought up the idea, I couldn't say no. And so, yeah, we release new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on How'd You Meet? We're on, Apple, Spotify, and there's short episodes, very short episodes where we, ask them, start off with How'd You Meet? And just talk about, love lessons, things that they've learned from each other, what they appreciate and value in their relationship. And it's really just our way to kind of contribute again, to continue bringing great stories, great couples. We received some beautiful messages, right, from people who were like, I didn't want to hear about love right after my breakup, right? I didn't want to hear, but now are enjoying the show and kind of finding that hope, right? That one day they'll find, that love that they want. And so truly, it's just our contribution to continue bringing some, light and positivity into these virtual platforms.
For sure. And you also get that second and third chance as well. So
absolutely.
Well done on that. And where can one actually watch those or listen to those podcasts?
Yes, they are available on Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. We're also, and you can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And it's called How'd You Meet?
How'd You Meet? Yes.
That's so nice. Well, I'm going to go check it out as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And you're involved in Instagram Lives on self-care and self-love. And I know you've interviewed a few South Africans as well.
Yes, I have. I've had the honor to. And I hope I get the honor to have you one day on Coffee and Chisme. And so Coffee and Chisme came up to me as an opportunity. So just to say where even the title came up from, again, like you said, my families are from Mexico. So in Mexican communities, right, it is tradition that after you finish dinner, right, you grab, I have my coffee mug here. You grab your cafecito, you grab your coffee, and then you take out the sweet bread, and you kind of hang around on the table and you just converse and you share, the gossip, the chisme of the day, right? You share how your day went. You talk about, the neighbors, la vecinas. You talk about, you just share, you connect. And usually, right, there is a view of obviously gossip being negative, right? Because yes, usually in the community and in culture, it is an opportunity, right, to talk bad about people or bring down people or, complain about, what the day was. And in my idea, I love the connection part of our community. I love that food brings us together. I love that we have these beautiful traditions. But as someone who, is coming up from a maybe different generation from my parents and their parents, I figured, how can we make this into a positive? How can we make chisme, right, as something that's productive, as something that's helpful, right? I learned so much through conversations with people. I learned so much meeting people right from across the globe and getting to ask them questions and getting to know about them. And so for me, it was an opportunity to how can we reframe part of our community, part of our culture, to where we start seeing chisme as we don't have to use this time to talk bad about people, but how can we use this time to empower ourselves, talk about self-love, self-care? And thankfully, I'm so honored to have friends who are doing amazing things with their lives, who are, comics, who are singers, who are, psychic mediums, who are speakers, who are, who have done so many things, who are fathers, mothers, doulas, midwives, just people who are doing amazing things in the world, that I just want to show off and showcase and learn from them and share how they, work through their self-love journey. We all have a story to share, and I know we all want to share it. I think it's innate, right, in our human nature to want to share who we are and be seen and valued for it. And so for me, it was just an opportunity to create another right space in this virtual world that is more positive, right, and more and brings more light than negativity, which is we usually, would tend to see when we talk about achievement. So it was an opportunity to reframe something in my culture and in my community.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm definitely going to be on your Instagram Live.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I would be honored to have you.
It's going to be so fabulous. So let me know when you would like me to be on. We can chat offline and we take
Absolutely.
it from there. Yes. So how did COVID, I know COVID it's not something of the past. And I know the USA is going through a really tough time with the numbers just increasing again. What's it like there on your end?
Yeah, it's a very confusing and interesting time. I think that, to say the least. I think in some ways, right, for me personally, I have taken this opportunity of the global pandemic. And I only say that because I have had the privilege, right? I have a shelter over my head. I have food, I have sometimes even the ability to order delivery, right, to get to our house. So we can limit the amount of time that we spend outside. And so this is coming completely from a privileged opportunity of having even internet, right, to continue to work and continue to do what I love through virtual spaces. For me, it's been an opportunity to find inner peace through the chaos. But obviously, right, I am pregnant, so I still go to, hospital visits. We go to the birthing center visits. We meet with our doula or midwives. And so it is very interesting to be in Texas. Because there is kind of a big difference of what our governor, thinks and wants, and then what our city officials want versus what, is going on the federal level. And so you do go outside and see, a mixture of people with masks, some without, some not following social distancing, some do. It's a very, I think, difficult and confusing time for everybody, given that, the government officials are really completely different views of whether we mandate certain things, whether we don't. So it has, for us as a family, it has really been an opportunity to kind of just take charge of our own health, of our own community, of our own people, and then just follow what feels right for us as a family, as individuals. But it has definitely been a very confusing time, especially for some of the southern states, which completely differ from, some of the policies in northern states. And so it's a very interesting time, I think, for a lot of us here, and at least in Texas, for sure. It's been weird, to say the least.
Well, that's good. At least you keeping to the necessary, stay at home and don't go out much. That's important. And especially with you being pregnant as well. So when's the baby coming?
When December, so sometime in December is the birth time, the due date that's given. So yeah, we're hoping to have a new baby in December.
A Christmas baby. What a nice
present. Right, the most beautiful present. I can't believe it. We feel so blessed. We feel so fortunate.
Lovely. And what does it feel like being pregnant and looking forward to being a young mother?
Oh, thank you. And I'm not as young as I look, by the way. I am 31, right? But I always get that I look a lot younger. So it's very interesting when I go to the sonograms. I think some of the people think we're like very young parents. And then they're like, how old are you? Or like, oh, you're 30. Okay, got it. You're not that young. For me, yeah, and so it's been, there's been its ups and there's difficulties too, given that we are right still in the middle of the pandemic. I remember the first sonogram, my husband couldn't come into the room with us, right, and we're having to FaceTime for him to be able to get the opportunity to look at the ultrasound. And so him not having the ability sometimes to be there with me, right, and all of the visits can get really sad. And it's really, I know he's also excited and he wants to be part of these things, right? But because of the restrictions, sometimes we can't. And so that's been kind of some of the difficulties, but the ups, I mean, there's so many ups. We have had such a great community around us. I think we have finally have our birth team, right, that's picked out. We have selected our midwife, we have selected our doula, we have our hypnobirthing instructor. We are working with so many wonderful women and mothers who have been such a great support and educating us and reminding us that we can do this, right? It's good to hear when people think that you're going to be great parents, or when people think that you are capable of doing it. We're first-time parents. And so I feel like we're learning something every day. I really do feel like, but I think the power of being a woman just kind of blows my mind, truly, especially because we're talking about, right, during Women's History Month. I mean, there would be no humanity, right, without women. We are portals for life, and we're creators of life. And there's right studies even show, right, how much you can change your generation of children by educating a mother or by empowering a mother. And so it's such a sacred responsibility. It kind of honestly overwhelms me in the best way, right? But it overwhelms me, and it just fills me, and it just feels like such a crazy, wild miracle, right? That to think that we are the creators of life.
Yes.
And it's just such a beautiful thing. It's still hard for me sometimes to, like believe it, like, oh my God, like there's, until then I feel the little movements, and,
yes.
Yes, the little kicks and the little, gas bubbles. Yes, he's still, small, and we're still in the second trimester. And so I'm not feeling the full kicks yet, which is good. But, when you hear the heartbeat, and when we saw the ultrasound and the baby was stretching and moving his feet, it's just such a magical, beautiful experience to be a woman who gets to be a part of that, and who gets to bring, our son into this earth. It's just mind blowing. It really is. It's beautiful.
Congratulations again. And I know you're going to make such an amazing parent.
Thank you. I hope
I can hear the excitement. I can hear it. It's gonna be so magical. And I just, it's Women's Month in South Africa. What would be your inspirational message to women, not just in South Africa, but across the globe?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you and I talked about it offline, right? Like we're always running around, we're always busy. There's been such a pressure, I think, in society, right, for women to do it all and to be all. And I think sometimes for me, it's so important to just take a step back. And I think pregnancy has allowed me to do that. And I think that's why the experience of being pregnant has been so mind blowing for me. Because once you take the step back and you really, right, see that we're the portals of life, that we are the creators of life, that we have this incredible, right, intuition, and we have this incredible instinct, right, to be nurturers, to be caregivers. It's just such a blessing to be a woman. And so for me, during this whole pregnancy, just sitting in gratitude every day for being a woman, at least in this lifetime. I don't know about other lifetimes, but in this one, I get the honor, right, and privilege of being a woman, especially in a time where we can be trailblazers and do things that other women maybe before us couldn't do. It just feels like such a beautiful, empowering thing to feel that I get the opportunity to do things, right, that my mother couldn't have done, or in her time, or my great grandmother didn't get to do. It's just so beautiful and empowering to honestly just recognize that we're we're women, and that we're portals of life. And so it's something so sacred, that I think sometimes we forget, right? When we're running around doing so much. And because we make it look so easy sometimes, right? To
We
be a
do
woman.
make it look easy. Absolutely.
We do.
Yes.
We do. We make it look so easy, but it is not. It is not. And I think, going through, definitely experiencing this pregnancy has just been such an eye opener, right? Of like, wow, I can't believe sometimes I hear women, that are pregnant and are working and are doing this and are having, doing this and creating projects and, running around and traveling and moving. And I mean, just, I am amazed at women. And I think pregnancy has truly given me the appreciation of being like, wow, like women are absolutely just amazing. They really, really are. And so it's just an honor to truly be, embody the divine feminine, truly.
For sure. Wow. And I thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting to me. It was just amazing, inspirational. I loved the chat. I enjoyed it. Wish you all the best with your little baby. And I picked it up. It's going to be a boy.
Yes, it's a baby boy. Yes.
Yes.
Son. Yes.
Lovely. Congratulations again. And I'm going to follow your journey. I'm going to see pictures of the baby and wish you everything of the best on your journey of motherhood.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, I'm also a great fan of yours. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to get to finally meet you and connect with you. And I can't wait to have you on Coffee and Cheese Man.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to be on there. Take care. All the best. Bye.
Of course. Take care. Bye.
Bye.